Angelo Badalamenti, David Lynch's composer on Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks, and more, dies at 85. Angelo Badalamenti, the acclaimed David Lynch composer who went from teaching in junior high school in Brooklyn to creating haunting, ethereal music for the filmmakers Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive, has died. He was 85. Badalamenti died Sunday of natural causes surrounded by family at his home in Lincoln Park, New Jersey, his niece Frances Badalamenti told The Hollywood Reporter. The classically trained composer also collaborated with an eclectic mix of singers in virtually every genre during his long career, from Nina Simone, Nancy Wilson, Shirley Bassey, Patti Austin, David Bowie, Paul McCartney, Marianne Faithfull, Liza Minnelli, Mel Tillis and Roberta Flack to Pet Shop Boys, Anthrax, Dolores O'Riordan, Tim Booth and LL Cool J. Georgia Holt, actress, singer and Cher's mother, dies at 96. Badalamenti composed the theme music for ABC's Twin Peaks, NBC's Profiler and Bravo's Inside the Actors Studio, and for the 1992 Summer Games in Barcelona, his Torch theme, during the opening ceremony accompanied an archer's flaming arrow that ignited the Olympic cauldron. When Lynch needed a vocal coach for actress Isabella Rossellini on Blue Velvet 1986, then filming in North Carolina, he turned to Badalamenti, who had developed a reputation for working with singers. I met with Isabella and after a couple of hours with a piano and a little cassette recorder, we got a decent vocal on the Bobby Vinton song, Blue Velvet, he recalled in a 2015 interview for Spirit and Flesh magazine. So we go over to the set where David is shooting the last scene. He puts on the earphones, listens to the recording and says, "Peachy keen. That's the ticket." Badalamenti was tasked to write another tune. Lynch told him, "Oh, just let it float like the tides of the ocean. Make it collect space and time, timeless and endless," and that became the memorable Torch song, Mysteries of Love, performed by Julie Cruz, who was recruited by the composer. Lynch turned over all the music for Blue Velvet to Badalamenti, who went on to collaborate with the filmmaker on Twin Peaks. He created themes for several characters in the 1989-91 drama, Wild at Heart 1990 Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me 1992, Lost Highway 1997, The Straight Story 1999, and Mulholland Drive 2001. I sit with Angelo and talk to him about a scene and he begins to play those words on the piano, Lynch told the New York Times in 2005 in explaining how the duo made music. Sometimes we would even get together and make stuff up on the piano, and before you know it that leads to the idea for a scene or a character. When we started working together, we had an instant kind of a rapport, me not knowing anything about music but real interested in mood and sound effects. I realized a lot of things about sound effects and music working with Angelo, how close they are to one another. Added Badalamenti. David's visuals are very influenced by the music. The tempo of music helps him set the tempo of the actors and their dialogue and how they move. He would sit next to me at a keyboard describing what he was thinking as I would improvise the score. Almost all of Twin Peaks was written without me seeing a single frame, at least in the pilot. Badalamenti said he would often come to Lynch's set and play live music during filming so the actors could feel the mood. In 1990, Badalamenti received a Grammy Award for his evocative Twin Peaks theme and 3 Emmy nominations for his work on the series. The show's soundtrack album went gold in 25 countries. About the Twin Peaks music, which Badalamenti composed on an old Fender Rhodes electric piano, Michael Tedder wrote in 2017 in Esquire. Together they created a score that was often as serene and beautiful as the images of the waterfall that we see in the opening credits, but one that could quickly go to a macabre place. Music oozed out of every pore of the show, whether we were watching the Man from Another Place dance, checking out a performance at the Roadhouse or discovering Laura Palmer's body, wrapped in plastic. Badalamenti was born in Brooklyn on March 22, 1937, and raised in the Bensonhurst section of the borough. His father, from Sicily, owned a fish market. An uncle, Vinnie Badale, played trumpet with bandleaders Benny Goodman and Harry James. When Badalamenti was young, there was one song, Irving Berlin's "What'll I Do?" that always brought him to tears, and he played it over and over. As a teenager, he played piano and French horn in the Lafayette High School Orchestra before attending the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, on a full scholarship. After 2 years there, he graduated from the Manhattan School of Music with his bachelor's and master's degrees in 1960. During summers in his college years, he accompanied singers at resorts in the Catskill Mountains. "I had to play a lot of the standards, so I learned quite a wide range of music," he said in a 2019 interview with his niece. "I had to learn them very quickly, and learning so many different types of music was a tremendous help later on in my career." While teaching music to 7th graders during his 5th year at Dyker Heights Junior High in Brooklyn, he composed a Christmas musical for his students that wound up being telecast in 1964 by PBS station WNET. That led to a job at a music publisher, and Badalamenti, then going by the pen name Andy Badale, would arrange and write songs for artists including Bassie. He advertised for a lyricist in magazines and newspapers and connected with John Clifford, and they wrote the songs, "Hold No Grudge," and "He Ain't Comin' Home No More," which he blindly pitched and then sold to Simone. She recorded both as well as 1969's "Another Spring," which one critic noted is as rousing and moving a song as you'll find in the singer's repertoire. Badalamenti also wrote with Frank Stanton, "Face It Girl, It's Over," recorded by Wilson in 1968, and collaborated with French electronic music pioneer Jean-Jacques Perry on tracks including 1970's EVA, which would be sampled by Fatboy Slim, A Tribe Called Quest and others. He even wrote a country song, with Norman Mailer, no less, "You'll Come Back, You Always Do," recorded by Tillis for the 1987 film Tough Guys Don't Dance. His first job in the movies was composing the score for the Harlem set Gordon's War, 1973, directed by Ossie Davis. Badalamenti said Davis was all set to hire Barry White before he listened to his music. He then scored the crime drama Law and Disorder, 1974, directed by the Czech-born Ivan Passer, but wouldn't work on another film until Blue Velvet. Badalamenti, Lynch and Cruz also collaborated on 2 albums, 1989's Floating Into the Night, the unofficial soundtrack to Twin Peaks, and 1993's The Voice of Love, and a 1990 avant-garde concert piece called Industrial Symphony No. 1, which featured Wild at Heart stars Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. He and Lynch also recorded a jazz album, Thought Gang, in the early 90s.